What's going on, everybody? This is an episode from the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast. Do you like podcasts and you want to see the full podcast? Make sure you check out the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast on all your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, I.R.S, among many others. But you're listening to the episode right here on YouTube, so make sure you hit that like button and below, and make sure you hit the subscribe button to NC Studios and NC Level Up for all your gaming needs. This is the Nerd Coalition. Enjoy the show. Before I get into this, we start talking about this, Quattro. Do you like the new WWE documentaries that they do on Peacock?
So if we're going off that, there's only been two, right? This one and the Cody one, correct?
No, they got plenty. They got Kurt Angle.
I didn't see that one.
The Kurt Angle one was really good. And yes, I could be throwing my biases in there because I'm a Kurt Angle mark, but the Kurt Angle one was pretty good. They got an Undertaker one, and they got a couple more of the Peacock ones. I ain't just talking about WWE 24. I'm talking about the Peacock. They made them 2-hour documentaries on there. So yeah, if you haven't seen the Kurt Angle one, make sure you check the Kurt Angle one out.
Well, definitely. Speaking of the two, I seen the Bray and the Cody one. I enjoyed both of them. I didn't have any issues. I like the format. I like the storytelling. I was like, oh, this is interesting for me.
Yeah, these kind of documentaries kind of scare me a little bit because when WWE talks about their own, they be leaving out the shit that they fucked up on. And I was saying out there for context. So when they be having these WWE documentaries, I be kind of hesitant because I don't know how deep they're going to go into. But I am happy.
If you want deep, there's only a certain side of the ring you got to go to, and it's dark. If you want to go deep.
Yeah, that's why I want to go deep and get checked. But they don't have enough time. They only be doing like 44 minutes, without commercials. So they ain't really got time like that. But when you got 2 hours with no commercials, bro, you gotta knock this out the park.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt as though that I'm happy to say I felt as though the Bray Wyatt one, for at least 90% of it, did that.
I feel like they were trying to make you sad, and they succeeded.
They did do that.
It's like that documentary is a constant reminder of, hey, let's just focus on the human of Wyndham Rotunda. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong.
No, I mean...
Go ahead.
I'm saying, no, they got... I appreciate Bo Dallas and his sister doing much of the heavy lifting in the documentary. And JoJo came later, but I appreciate that part of it. They didn't get into... there are some things that they didn't get into, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I felt as though it was a very strong showing of Bray Wyatt and where we came from. And I do like that the little things that were problems with Bray Wyatt they touched on, but I think because it's still too soon. The man ain't been dead a year, if y'all think about it. The man only been dead, I want to say 6 months? 6-7 months?
Well, yeah, because honestly, everybody is not good all the time or easy to work with. And something they did heavy on that documentary is like, well, he's so hard to work with sometimes, but it's because he's so creative. Yeah, because he simply, as you just put, he just died. They don't want to talk bad about him yet.
Yeah, and it's not even the fact that to talk bad. It's just the thing, to highlight the issues that happen with Bray Wyatt, highlight the issues that shit with Vince. But however, they did get into some stuff like when they started the beginning, they talked about who he was and how he was a football player, and how he really was one of those kids that chubby kid, but he cared about his brothers and his sisters, and he would do anything in his power he can to help motivate them and uplift them. Who his dad was, and being I.R.S. And what caught me off guard was when I was listening to this, I was like, wait a minute, that voice sounds familiar. Is this the Undertaker?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Undertaker's narrating the whole documentary. That's what's up.
You know what I'm still interested to know, which they didn't talk about all, and I think they never talk about. What did Undertaker say to him in that ring?
Yeah, I'd like to know that also.
I mean, they can at least
they paraphrased it, but I'm like, but what was it exactly? You know?
Right, exactly.
And also, like, why? You know, because I'll get to it. But so when they started, him and Bo Dallas started doing FCW, and it was a tag team, and how he was, I don't know what to say character it was. It's like normal guys in FCW, but then they had the NXT show back when it was a game show, and Cody was his pro back at that time, and he was Husky Harris. How he hated Husky Harris because it was like a dig at his weight.
Yeah.
And he didn't really like that. Everyone didn't get over it. And I remember when they kicked Husky Harris out of the new Nexus.
Mm-hmm. I remember that too.
I remember that also. But then how when NXT finally became too much like, stop this shit. We're gonna make it like an actual developmental brand. And he came up with this gimmick. He would watch a lot of the cult leaders, Waylon Mercy and Jim Jones and all that, and he was like mixing all these characters together. And Robert De Niro from some movie, I forgot what the movie was, where he would mix these characters together, and he wanted to create this family. Bo Dallas was originally supposed to be part of it, but Bo Dallas was busy doing something else at the time. So they got
right. He was out there Bo leaving.
Yeah, if you just believe, you know what?
I didn't.
I kind of like that.
I did. I'll put my stamp on it. I thought it was hilarious. It made me laugh. Just him doing laps around the ring and stuff. Love that.
I do think that it didn't. I don't think it is translated as well as it should have on the main roster. But it actually seems crazy.
We be stuck here all day talk about things that worked at NXT that didn't translate to the main roster.
Yeah, Elias. But to a certain extent, I think Vince didn't know how to use them. That's all.
Right.
But they talked. They brought in Brody Lee and Eric Rowan, and they became the Wyatt family. And then how they came up to the main roster in 2015, and they rocked it hard, and it was getting over. They had the rivalry with the Shield, which was some of the great matches, the 6-man matches they used to have with the Shield. I used to love the matches. And then this is the thing I love that they glossed over a little bit. It's WrestleMania 30, and I understand that they talk about he's in the ring with John Cena, and John Cena's all praising his work and stuff like that, and then he loses, and they kind of like go over that and talk about it was like, okay, well, he lost that, but he was still going in and having matches with other big name people, and how they decided to bring a Braun Strowman. I'm like, oh, time out. See, this is the part I'm talking about right there, because that loss killed a lot of his momentum. He should have won that match.
He should have won that match. They should have never did that match with him and Randy at WrestleMania. What was the name of that match? You know what I'm talking about. When it was just flies on the ring and stuff randomly. What was going on?
You ready for that? It was a normal match.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
I'm angry.
You can look at WrestleMania 33 right now and look at it, but it'll be like singles match. Yeah, that happened. At the time, which I thought was a pretty good WrestleMania until I saw that.
This was stupid.
It was stupid. First of all,
like
the whole thing they did with that storyline was stupid. What was I gonna say? That John Cena loss. I mean, when John Cena won, John Cena didn't need. It's 2014. John Cena ain't need that victory. At that point, in 2014, John Cena wasn't even often going for the championship. He could take a loss to help elevate Bray Wyatt. And
Yes,
that was the first of many pivotal losses that Bray Wyatt took. Even to the point we got the nickname the Eater of Pins.
Yeah, I think a big problem that WWE does a lot of the time, and listen, I'm only a fan here, but if my guy can make it and lose and make it and lose and make it and lose, eventually I can't back you anymore. I don't believe you. You're killing him.
And that's the one thing about when it comes to like the old school. When I say the old school, I'm talking about the old school wrestlers and stuff like that, where it's like they're looking at it as you get to be in the ring or share the ring with this big star. And I'm like, okay, you're right. Thank you for the rub. But how did the big star that I'm rubbing with become a big star? They had to win something. Somebody that was older had to put them over. Like if you talk about Undertaker, it had to be Hogan to start him off. If you're talking about Stone Cold, it had to be Jake Roberts. If you're talking about The Rock, it had to be Ron Simmons. If you're talking about Triple H, it had to be Shawn. It had to be somebody, or Mick Foley. It had to be somebody for them to step over to get them to that next point. But the problem that was happening in that era, that PG era, was that you were building these guys up, and then once they get to that plateau of sharing the ring with a star, you're thinking like, well, that should just rub off. It don't. You got to capitalize on it when it's hot. If he had won that match, Bray Wyatt's career would have gone not just that year. His career would have went very, very differently.
Well, I'll let you know this is how I currently feel about Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yes. I can see your frustration with that.
Just win, please.
He's thinking you what?
Just win, please. Mm-hmm. I still think he should be AJ. That's a whole other conversation. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, and then after that, he lost. Then on top of it, not only does he not win the match, he loses the rivalry with Cena. And then he goes on, and the Undertaker talks about, okay, well, he goes on. They can't talk about the Dean Ambrose rivalry because Dean Ambrose is not there, which is a clusterfuck of stuff. And then they talk about, well, he wanted to expand the family, and then we enter in Braun Strowman, and then we gloss over how the Undertaker didn't put him over, because we gloss over the Survivor Series 25-year anniversary of the Undertaker, when it was the Wyatt family versus the Undertaker. I mean, Undertaker and Kane.
Yep.
We didn't talk about that and how his team lost on that one. Then we go to like, okay, well, he took on the Undertaker at WrestleMania 31, and I'm like, okay, that's great, but he lost. And even though the Undertaker talked about he helped him with his confidence, and that's great, but at that time, nobody expected Bray Wyatt to win that match. He wasn't a threat anymore.
Yep.
And I was like, but you know what can help get it back though? If he beats the Undertaker at WrestleMania.
And he did not. By the way, guys, he did not.
Because Undertaker wasn't going to lose twice in a row. He wasn't going to lose to Brock the year before, and then Bray Wyatt. He wasn't going to do that. But there have been rumors saying that, or some things Undertaker said that he wanted Bray Wyatt to be the one to break the streak. Well, that didn't happen. That could have sent him in the stratosphere also.
Yep. Because, of course, Brock needed that.
Yeah, exactly. But then, the draft happens. He goes over to Smackdown, and then in 2017, he has his best moment when he wins the WWE Championship in the Elimination Chamber, which is one of the better Elimination Chamber matches in that era. Just the new cell.
Right. And also, talk about an unexpected moment. If you looked at that, if you can remember the storyline going in, you was just like, Bray, here we go again, man. Like, that's how it felt. But then I believe Cena was eliminated first in that, and it was like, wait a minute. We're going to have a new champion.
You had AJ Styles, Cena, Corbin, Ambrose, Wyatt, and I can't remember the sixth person. You had a stacked. I think maybe Ziggler, maybe I'm not sure, but you had a stacked.
Yeah, possibly.
You had a stacked card in that Elimination Chamber match.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you did.
Which you won, and then that whole story with Randy, him, and Luke Harper, it should have been triple threat at WrestleMania at 33. It should have been a triple threat match, and it wasn't.
And let's talk about that. Was that only a month later?
No. They've been building the Randy Orton joining the Wyatt family, and Luke Harper. I trusted him the year previously, because remember when Randy Orton saved Bray Wyatt from a spear at Survivor Series?
Yes, I do. That was deep in memory.
Yeah, where Luke, he was trying to show to Luke Harper that, hey, I'm on your side. Like they've been building this up for a good amount of months. Bray just won the championship in the Elimination Chamber, and Orton won the Royal Rumble in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, they just turned into a Orton Wyatt thing without Harper, and I'm just like, no, don't do that. And once again, it flopped. It was bad, and we're going right back to the same things again. And next thing you know, just like they said in the documentary, Strowman gets hot. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan are the Bludgeon Brothers, and why are they doing shit? So he had to go away, and he
Before he went away, was that the time when he was tagging with Matt Hardy, or was that later?
No, that's when he was tagging with Woken Matt Hardy.
Yes, the leader of worlds.
Yeah, which I don't think. And once again, they gave his return on a pre-show.
Yeah, they did.
When Bray Wyatt finally came back, he came back on a pre-show.
And was it the Andre the Giant Battle Royal?
Yep, on the pre-show.
Yep. Whoopee.
I apologize for that, y'all.
Oh, it's that. Look, WWE need to apologize to us for everything we talking about.
It's kind of like, because I hate it when Vince would just have these storylines pay off in the Andre Giant Battle Royal. Like, remember Mizdow with Damien Sandow?
That was frustrating.
Yes.
Because that should have been Damien. Where's the interview of Damien Sandow? So how many times did you almost make it? 4?
Seriously. He was more over than the Miz at one point.
Listen, when he won Money in the Bank, I knew it was a done deal, and it was not. And I said, what happened?
You're right.
Honestly, let me put it out here. I feel the same way about Baron Corbin, too. Let's keep throwing people in this boat.
Right on. No, so they, when he came back, he came back with the Woken Man Hard, then he left again. Then they did the whole Firefly Funhouse thing with the Fiend, which I really enjoyed that at the beginning. And
I love that match.
You said, well, yeah, but I'm talking about just introducing the character, that whole "Don't hug me, I'm scared," Mr. Rogers type
QR codes and everything.
No, that's later Bray Wyatt. That's like, I call it the Black Phone Bray Wyatt. I'm talking about Mr. Rogers, sweater wearing Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt.
Okay.
But one thing Triple H brings up in the documentary is something that is true. He said that Bray has so many of these ideas, but they don't translate to the ring. And that is one thing I remember Seth Rollins saying that also, because he creates these characters that it's like it's hard to beat them, like in storyline sense. Mm-hmm. And how does this translate to the ring? And they didn't talk about that because I think they want to erase that from their memory, but they never talked about that Hell in a Cell match between him and Seth Rollins.
Ooh, I remember the internet was on fire from that one.
Hell, it was so bad. X-Pac was hot about that shit. He worked there. He said, in what world do we have a match stoppage in a Hell in a Cell match?
Yeah.
And it's not Wyatt's fault, or Seth, it's all Vince's fault, because they didn't want, Wyatt or Seth didn't even want to do the match that way. They lobbied for it to be different, but Vince said no. And then what happened? The Fiend loses to Goldberg.
Oh, that was...
To a suplex. Not a jackhammer, because he's going to get him over. To a suplex.
Yes, defend your guy. I'll wait.
Oh, no. I can only I defend Goldberg from the years of 1998 to 2003. Okay? And then from the end of 2016 to 2017. That's why I defend Goldberg. Other than that, you got nothing from me.
He said, for everybody, he said, I can't defend him involving the Fiend, and I can't defend him involving Taker.
Exactly. No. I can't do it. I said no. I know when I'm defeated, and that, my friend, is one of them. But yeah, a lot of things didn't translate to the ring, and then they talked about when he got burnt in an Inferno match with Randy Orton, and then he had to wear all the burnt Fiend gear, which he really did not like, because it was hard for him to move around and that kind of stuff, and I just bet it would everything looked heavy. And then they built up the match. They bring Alexa Bliss. Build up the match at WrestleMania. It was night 2. This is WrestleMania 37.
37?
Yeah.
I thought it was 38.
It was the Fiend versus Randy Orton, and Randy Orton just beats him. And it killed the Fiend. It killed all the momentum, or whatever it was left of the Fiend. And then
because Alexa turned on him, and we was like, what?
You're like, why? And they never got into that, to the point where, hey, your father-in-law, Triple H, is a big part of the reason why all this shit was like it was. But they ain't gonna mention that, obviously. Then he gets fired. He gets fired in 2022. It's a shock to everybody that he was on the release list. And then him and Bro Dallas is going out trying to, do some ghost hunting, or just do some kind of stuff that you see on reality TV shows, a lot of those kind of spooky stuff that they're into. And he started to get the feel for the wrestling again, which I understand. And then he wants to come back, and that's when we get the QR codes and all that stuff like that, the White Rabbit and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
And then when he came back with as regular Bray, and he talked about how the fans kept him motivated and said, "We miss you, we love you, and we want you to come back. We know how you're doing." It helped give him the confidence again to come back. And in the meantime, during the documentary, we talked to his ex-wife for a little bit, but then now we're in the JoJo era, where it's like, okay, hey, things open up for us, and we just started dating. By the way, JoJo looks beautiful as hell.
She was always very attractive.
Exactly. And they talk about it, and they had the whole Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy thing that they was teasing, and I really wanted to see where it was going to go. Now, I mean, we had some bullshit shenanigans like as I called the Batman and Robin match at Royal Rumble.
Oh, you talking about the pitch? You listen,
the pitch black match.
That was his last match. I hate that was his last match.
Well, I can remember sitting there watching that. He did have a match on a house show, but his last televised, that was it.
Just sitting there watching that match at Royal Rumble, it was just like, what is this? What is this?
That's what I said. Forever in a day, I call it the Batman and Robin match. Yeah, so they did that, and it didn't turn out too well, and he wasn't feeling well after a couple house shows. They set him up for a match at Bobby Lashley for WrestleMania 39. That's the match Bobby Lashley got because Wyatt caught COVID. And when he caught COVID, which a lot of people don't understand, is it exacerbates a maybe underlying condition that you may not know you had, and he had some heart problems, and so he had to get a pacemaker. He can only do limited amount of exercise. Like, this is the stuff that happened to Keith Lee. But Keith Lee was like, lucky, and because Keith Lee was wrestling them when they didn't have no COVID protocols at all. I remember the last match I remember Keith Lee had on Raw was like him versus Drew McIntyre, I think it was. So he caught COVID, and then he got real sick, and he had some heart problems. So he had to put this vest on that would, if the heart would stop, it would kind of like shock it back, because like his heart was in that bad of condition. Because even though I didn't like him versus Bobby idea, I was like, where the fuck is Bray at? But he was sick. Then that's when it gets to the real emotional part, like when they start talking to JoJo and Bo Dallas and his sister, where it's like, hey, he called his ex-wife. He wanted to pick the kids up from school, and he was happy to do it. He goes pick the kids up from school. He brings them home, and he's there with their other siblings, the kids he had with JoJo. And he's like, I just want to go take a nap. As a parent, listen to me. As a parent, I get it. You just want to take a nap when you're dealing with these kids and stuff like that. And he didn't put the vest on. Which is heartbreaking, because one thing when it comes to me is that when deaths can be prevented, that hurts me the most. For me personally. And he took a nap, went to sleep, and his heart stopped. And he wasn't breathing, so they had to try to rush him to the hospital, and it was too far gone. And that's how Bray Wyatt died. At 36 years old. That shit's heartbreaking.
You know what hit me more than anything else? 36.
Yeah.
Because I'm 37.
I'm about to be 36 in June, Lord willing. So, yeah.
Whew.
It hits you. It hits you in the feels, especially when it comes to your own mortality. And that's the scary part about it, bro. That's the scary part about it. He's 36 years old, in the prime of his career, had much to go. I wanted to see what was going on with it, and he died. And once again, off of something that could have been prevented. But I get it. Because I'm not blaming Bray Wyatt for it, because I be coming in, I'm on a CPAP machine. That's not a life or death thing. Depends, actually. But there are times where
fair. Fair, as a CPAPper as well.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yes, it depends on how bad it is. But if you go up, every time I get the kids a bath, and I get or I get my son, make sure he's ready, and then I'll be down doing the dishes. So I go up there and I go to sleep. I don't put the mask on, and sometimes my wife has to come wake me up and say, "Hey, you gotta put your mask on." Or I'll be forgetting and waking up like, "Oh my God, I don't even know how bad I was snoring." Or sometimes I'll be waking up trying to catch my breath because I stopped breathing. That's what the whole point of CPAP is, for people who stop breathing in their sleep. And I'm like, man, you just don't think about it sometimes. And honestly, that's probably this. You just took a nap. Like, hey, I know I gotta do this, but I'm just taking a little nap. I don't think my heart can just stop right now. And if it is, maybe something I can just jolt myself awake and save. You know what I'm saying? It could have been a thing like that. Sometimes you're just not thinking about it. And you don't know how important these things are. Until unfortunate things happen.
Imagine a phone call that would sound like, "Yo, Mr. A&E or Quattro passed away because they ain't putting no water in their CPAP." What?
Yeah.
What? No, that's what happened. No.
And you sit there and say something very simple that you like. Why didn't it? Because sometimes you forget, or you just do it, and it's just like once again, I want everybody to understand that me and Quattro are not comparing a CPAP machine to a chest defibrillator. Okay, we're not.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Apples and oranges here.
Absolutely.
Like I said, there's a higher percentage that you will live when you don't sleep on a CPAP machine than you would when not putting that vest on to shock your heart back to life. There's a complete difference. I'm just trying to use it as comparison to how sometimes we can be neglectful when the day is just going.
Because like you said, he had a full day doing whatever he needs to do, walked in the house, and he was tired. And he said, "I'm just lay down for a minute." Who hasn't said that? Who hasn't?
I said it today.
Listen, that's normal. And look, and once again, not comparing, but just be honest. When you lay down, did you put your CPAP on?
No, actually, that's a little bit of cheer.
Exactly. So it's the fact that what happened to that man is so relatable and so frightening at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you look at it and say, that would have been me. Once again, we know it's not the same thing, but understand what we're saying. Something from that little, you're like, could have been me.
Exactly.
Wow. I'm that age. I'm that body built. Look, he way more healthier than me. All that. And that still happened. Insane.
And you just don't know. And just hearing, his dad, hearing Barry Windham, his uncle, hearing Bo Dallas, definitely his sister and his ex-wife and JoJo, it just also hurt because he was taken away from them so young. And it got some clips of his memorial service and how they cremated him and put him in a flame type of
like an eternal flame. Let's call it.
Yeah, the eternal flame with the hold the ashes. Which for me also, I'm still trying to fight with that because cremation just seems it's so final. It's so final, and it's some of the stuff that I've been going through for the past 3 years. It's so final, and it's just like, oh man, this person's like, there is no coming back.
And I get it. And like I said, once again, this is a whole nother conversation, but from the idea of economical or religious beliefs or just how you think the best way is to honor somebody, you want to turn somebody to a tree, you want to plant them, you want to put them on a mountain. There's a lot of... It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. It really is. It's just... And just to hear him talk about that, but he talked about his legacy and the things that he did. All the good stuff that he usually do. At the end of the documentary, we get an Uncle Howdy tease like, hold on, we ain't done doing this yet.